How do you invest in your first property? Let me say it again. How do you invest in your first property? Because here's the deal, guys. Most people to the day, they don't look at investing into a property. They just look at buying a property. They're saying, oh, we bought our first house. Hey, we're good. We're set. Now let's start a family and move on. And then 5 years later, 10 years later, they're trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to really do with this property? Most people don't look at the property they buy as an asset. So let's back up. Let's really back up to when I first bought my first property at 25 years old. I remember me and my wife, at that time was my girlfriend, we rented that property for 1 year. And I remember the landlord, property manager coming up to us saying, hey, look, the owner's going to be selling this property. And we're like, okay, cool. I guess we got to look for someplace else to rent. Not knowing that I could really maybe buy because I was not in the mortgage game yet, but I was a credit manager. And then I thought about it and I went to my wife. I said, you think we should go there, see if we would maybe ask them buy this place? And she said, no, 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 no. We want to get a house. So the first place we lived at, it was 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 3 levels, two-car carport, right? And you would think, oh, it's either a patio home or a townhome. No, it was a condo. It was truly a condo. And at that point in time, they were trying to sell it for like 63, 64,000. And I sat down with my wife and I said, you know what? What if we buy this place as owner occupied with as little as 5% down, 3.5%? I think that time we went FHA, and we stay in for 1 year. And then we turn around and we rent it out. And then we move on to our next property. And we stay in it for maybe 2 years and we rent that out. The reason why I bring this up to you guys is because you have to have a plan in place when you buy your first property. Is that going to be an investment for you for future properties, or is that just going to be a house? Because people miss the boat. They miss the boat. They don't leverage the home that they're going to buy multiple properties down the road. I see it way too many times where people are the first house that they buy, they're buying it for 450, 500,000. Now they're stuck in the sense that the next property that they buy, they can't afford it unless they sell the house. So now you're not building wealth in terms of real estate. All you're doing is buying one property, selling it, buying another property, selling it. And all of a sudden you look up, you're 40, 45 years old, still have one property. You might have 50, 100,000 in your 401k. You got 22, 25 more years left of work, workable ability. So what are you going to do as you get older for retirement? How much money are you going to have in place? So I thought back that if I bought that first place and I looked at it as an investment and I didn't fall in love with it, as most people do, they fall in love with their first house. I didn't want to have any of that. I wanted to make sure that that first place that I bought, that I looked at it, would this be a nice rental for somebody? That I could actually rent it out for more than what my mortgage payment is. And then guess what I did, guys? Rented that place out. 5 years later, when the interest rates dropped, I went from a 30-year mortgage down to a 10-year mortgage. That's right. I chopped 20 years off. So at that point, for me, it wasn't about me making an extra $300 or $400 a month on that property. It was about me paying that thing. I keep saying that word, remember, thing. I wanted to pay that thing off. So all of a sudden, now I have what you call residual income. You know what residual income is, guys? That's basically income that's good you're going to continue to receive for the rest of your life. So now that property is since has been paid off, it was free and clear, and I was making $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month because I didn't have a mortgage payment. So once again, if I would have decided to buy that $400,000 house, do you think I would have had an investment property? My whole life would have been different. I wouldn't have been able to be in this amazing house. I wouldn't have been able to buy the property in Tulum. I wouldn't have been able to have another 24 properties in my lifetime in my portfolio over the years if I would have bought that first property as a home to live in and not buy it as an investment property or think of it as an investment. So if you want to get your first property and you have bad credit, reach out to me because here's the deal. I've helped multiple people buy homes that have had bad credit. It doesn't take a lot to build your credit up. What takes a lot of time is the people who don't want to build their credit up. They tell me they want to do, but they don't want to put the work in, right? Those are the people that want to cut corners. They want to go to fix a credit. that tell you to dispute everything on your credit report. And then 8 months later, when you're ready to buy a house, you still have all those disputes, not knowing that that really has masked your true credit rating or your credit score. So all of a sudden, you take those disputes off because, in fact, you think or you know that's probably yours, but you're hoping and praying that it's just going to delete off. I have ran across so many people that have told me, oh, another year is going to delete off my credit. I'm good to go. Okay, cool. I wait a year. I pull the credit report again. It's still there. They don't understand that when you want to get it removed from your credit, it's not just going to drop off, guys. You got to put in the work. But if it is yours, it's okay if it's yours. What we're going to do is we're going to reach out to those creditors and say, hey, look, will you take 50 cents on the dollar? Would you take 30 cents on the dollar? So if you owe $1,000, would you accept $300? Right? And here's the thing you got to understand. If they tell you, oh, yeah, we'll accept $300, before you send them that $300, you get in writing that, hey, look, we've agreed to settle with Mr. and Mrs. Johnson for $300. If we receive it within 30 days, it will be deleted from their credit report, and we will also supply a letter. You get that in writing. Once you get that in writing, bam, you send them the $300, because if you don't get in writing and you call them 30 days later and say, I spoke to Bill, what Bill? Bill don't work here. Oh, I'm sorry, we fired Bill a long time ago. You're screwed because you have no documentation. So make sure you get it in writing. And this is probably the most important thing. I don't never want to put a client into debt, right? So you want to open up what they call secure credit cards. And a secure credit card, in essence, is a credit card that you're putting up your own money to borrow against it, so you never go into debt. And what you're doing is paying yourself back, which is amazing. So if you said, Arthur, I want to do a secure credit card up to $500. You put in the $500, and what happens is if you go get gas, or you go to Target, whatever, you borrow $100. Now you have a balance of 100, and you're paying it back off the $500 that you initially put up. A couple things work behind that. Number one, you're not putting yourself in debt. Number two, you're building your credit, and most importantly, you're setting yourself up for financial security, which means that you're going to be buying a home sooner or later. I never tell anybody that they can't buy. I'll always let them know what options they have to buy, but this is what you have to do to do it. I remember I did this video when I first started working with my good person. The person that's killing it for me, Miss Priscilla. And we were driving in my car, and I talked about a story about a young lady. I did a home buyer class, and she would always be in that class like every other year for like 4 or 5 years. And I finally reached out to her, and the class said, hey, Alita, why are you still in this class? You should have owned a home. And she said to me, I don't think I could own a home. No matter what you tell me, I don't think I could do it. I've talked to so many people and they told me they can't. And I finally said, let me do a couple of things for you. Let me and you talk one on one. Let me pull your credit. Let me find out. I don't even care how much money you have, because right now we know you're not in a situation to buy. I put a credit, I put it on a game plan, and within that period of time, 12 months, she was able to get another job, make more income, and guess what? Within a year later, she was able to buy her first place. Since that time, she's bought 2 more properties. She kept one as a rental. So if you believe in the plan, you believe in me, then it's gonna happen. It's just a process, guys. It's just a process. With that being said, stop cutting corners. Stop listening to your mom and your daddy, your cousins, your brothers, your nieces, your nephews, in terms of them being the professional mortgage people that's going to tell you what to do to buy a home. Because you got to remember, even though they own a home, their situation is totally different than your situation, right? And us as individuals, let's be real, we don't always tell them everything, right? If you're going to work with me, I need to know everything to put you on that platform to be able to buy. But once again, guys, we got to be real with each other. And if you want something bad enough, you got to go out and get it. You got to manifest it. You got to desire it. And most importantly, you got to put the work in to go get it. Because as we all know, nothing's given to you if you don't put the work in, right? Don't put the work in, nothing is given to you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, guys, because I'm going to have a ton of information coming out over the next year, and we're going to dive into so many things. You can follow me on all socials at The Arthur Brown. And once again, feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message. I will be more than happy to respond.